Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage. Today, out in the driveway, wanting to give an update on our Mercedes and the progress with our single tank waste oil setup. Figured as we go along with all this, I'd give you the good and the bad, and right now we're on to some bad-ish news. No major issues, but yeah, I want to cover it all, and let you all see what can happen. And yeah, so anyways, let's just get into it. So, as of right now, we are on tank number 2 of straight diesel fuel. And as you can see in this filter down here, it's still pretty well black. It's not translucent yet. We are getting a lot of crud coming through, which are leftover solids from the tank. But yeah, I switched it back to a diesel diet. And reasoning for that is haze. It got bad. So after what, 2 months, 3 months of running it on a single tank, or as a single tank setup on 50/50 R blend and diesel fuel, it was running great. Didn't have many issues. It would get a little hazy from time to time. Nothing bad. But then diesel prices started skyrocketing, even more so than they had, and I got a little greedy and pushed it up to 70-ish, 80% oil on a single tank. And for a few days, maybe up to a week, it did fine, and then it started going downhill. Started hazing really bad, to the point where I could pull up to an intersection, something like that, pull up to a stoplight, and it looked like the car didn't have oil control rings left. It was smoking heavy. Anytime there was a breeze like blowing towards the rear of the car, I mean, you could just see smoke billowing past the windows and everything. It wasn't good. Sitting in a drive-through, if you didn't shut it off, you'd have people behind you rolling up windows and stuff like it. It got bad. So decided to take steps to see if we could improve upon that while keeping the high blend of oil on the single tank. So like you saw in previous videos, we did the flat plate heat exchanger. We've been running the water meth, stuff like that. After installing that flat plate heat exchanger, we plugged fuel filters right off the bat. Don't know if it's a coincidence. I'm assuming that the heat exchanger had some sludge or stuff built up in it. But yeah, also advanced the injection timing a good bit, and didn't really make much difference. Still had the haze issues. So what I'm thinking is the problem was already to a point where these things couldn't help. So I made the decision to go on and run the tank down and fill it back up with diesel fuel. And at this point, we're on tank number 2 of straight diesel fuel, and the hazing has gone down a lot. It's not perfect yet, but it's back to levels basically when I first got the car running. And when I first got it running, it would haze a little bit when you first start it on diesel, and it did that for probably a month of driving. But yeah, I anticipate this will clear it up on its own, but we'll see. We'll give it time. I may end up running a 3rd tank of straight diesel fuel before we transition back to oil blends and see how that goes. I've also got the tools in the shop to pull the cups or the pre-chambers out of the head. I went on and bought the tools to do that because, like I said, this car, when I bought it, had been ran for years on veggie oil blends and stuff like that. And that's why it was parked when I got it. The previous owner had issues with the veggie system and plugged everything up on it. So I have no I have no idea what kind of condition the pre-chambers were in when I first started driving it, and it'd probably be wise to go on and pull them, check them out, clean them, so on and so forth, which I may do before switching back to oil. I've also, the injectors I rebuilt right before I put the car on the road. I've got a pop tester and everything here, so when I pull the pre-chambers, I will probably throw the injectors in the pop tester, put a video together for that, and see if we've got any spray pattern issues or anything like that, and see what it takes to clear it up if we do. Typically, like on a Cummins or something like that, anytime I'd have issues with injector coking, I've got brass wire brushes and stuff. Pull the injectors and brush the tips off manually with that brass wire brush, which won't hurt the injector tip, and it would fix the problem. So we'll see if we're gonna go that in depth with it, but yeah, I'm gonna go grab the keys and show you what this thing does right now after 2 tanks of straight diesel fuel. So, as you could likely tell, when I first started up, not a terrible amount of haze, but it was visible and it had a pretty good roughness to it. This car did the same thing when I first got it running and driving on a daily basis. And it took a few weeks of consistent driving to get that to clean up. So I have a feeling it's likely an injector issue. Probably just a coked up injector, but yeah, until it's running for 30 seconds to a minute, it's got that roughness to it. Now keep in mind, this engine is tired. It's got the odometer stopped like 2.25, 2.5, so 250,000 miles, give or take, and that was at least 10 years ago, with the previous owner driving it 100+ miles a day, and he put a lot of miles on it before I got it, and I've been driving it a good bit too, so it wouldn't surprise me if it's got double that on it. But the engine's tired. I knew that. I've known that for a long time. It's got a lot of blow-by, not a lot of pressure, but it leaves a lot of oil in the baffle and the air cleaner, stuff like that. So that's been an issue with this motor since I got it. Has that gotten worse? No. Now, these problems that have come up, are they permanent? No. They'll be easy to fix. It will take work though. So the car right now, as you can tell, it started right up. It will run and drive down the road. It's not left me stranded because of this issue that's come up. It's just a nuisance. And it's going to take work to fix it. And it was done by me experimenting with stronger blends in a single tank, which I knew not to do, but I know a lot of people like leaning towards that direction because it's easier and it's cheaper. I get it, but it also has a tendency to do things like this, which is going to make for more work and more expense. So it's up to you on what you want to do. If you're single tanking on waste oils, alternative fuels in general, personally I wouldn't run more than 50%. But hey, I tried it kind of to prove a point, but mainly just to see if it would do it. I see and hear people talking about having good success with it all the time. That's not been my case, at least not long term. Like I said, it ran fine for a week or two on 70 to 80% oil, and I was buying very little diesel fuel for it. But then here we are. And that was no short trips. That was just driving it back and forth to work. But yeah, like I said, I've also got some other issues to sort out on this car. The air cleaner assembly, it's been broke for a while. The mounts for it, and because of that, the oil baffle drain had become disconnected. I actually just caught that. I noticed the car had a decent oil leak, and I just checked the oil again, getting ready to add oil to it, and I started paying attention to it and felt around underneath it. Lo and behold, the tube that connects to the baffle in the airbox had become disconnected. So it was just any oil vapor that would condense in the baffle would drip out and leak. So I'm gonna fix that. Actually, I've already got it reconnected, but I'm gonna have to fix that airbox or do something different there here soon. But yeah, so here's the plan as of right now. I'm going to finish out this tank at least right now. It's got 3/4 of a tank in it still. So I'm gonna finish this tank out. I will probably go on and run another tank of diesel fuel in it and run it all the way out. I'm going to change filters, and I'm going to siphon out what's left in the tank. Reason being is because when I had the fuel tank out on this car, yeah, don't mind that. That's from the bucket truck I was working on. In the bottom of the tank, there is a screen, little filter element, and I cleaned that when I cleaned the tank. But being as I'm getting solids up to the little screen filter, the pre-filter under the hood, I got a feeling that in-tank filter looks worse. So I'm gonna pull it and basically remove the screen from it and let the pre-filter under the hood catch all the nastiness. I may also go on and run new fuel line, just step it up to 1/2 inch while I'm doing it, but I don't know if I want to spend money on it right now or not. We'll see when I do it. But like I said, for the time being, I'm still driving this thing back and forth to work just about every day. When I'm not driving the Jeep or something like that, every once in a while I get a little bored and want to drive something fun. But yeah, it is still reliable, but it does have its issues, and things will come up when you're tinkering with this sort of thing. So be ready for it. I mean, it happens. I mean, I've been doing this for over 10 years and it still happens to me. So, hey, live and learn, right? But yeah, that's kind of where we're at on it. So, wanted to give an update and just let you all know. Yeah, even I have problems with it from time to time. It is not, there's no exact science to this. There are better ways of doing it than I do it. My way isn't perfect, but it gets the job done typically. So for now, on a single tank, I'm gonna go on and do what I said as far as running another tank of diesel through it and cleaning that filter out inside the tank, possibly running new fuel line, and then we will look at setting this up for dual tanks. That way I can run my blend straight on it and run diesel in the main tank or in a secondary tank, whichever one will work out better for that. But yeah, so anyways, that's where we're at. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, anything at all, drop them in the comments section. I'm typically pretty good about answering people's questions or replying to comments as quickly as I can. So yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and we appreciate you watching.